Hi everyone! Today I want to share a fun new card using the Count My Blessings stamp set. I just love this stamp set. It caught my eye right away in the new holiday catalog. I loved this flower image and I really love the acorn. So I had to get it. It's one of the first things I purchased, and I want to show you this little card that uses a technique that layers. It's like paper piecing, paper layering. See how I've cut them out and kind of put them on top of each other, so you've got several layers of petals and leaves here. It's really a simple look to accomplish, and I thought I would show this card really quickly today. So I'm starting with the base of crumb cake, and I used this leaf image here just to get a little splattering across the background, and I'm doing that tone on tone, so I'm using crumb cake ink. This card is kind of going portrait, and I've decided to do this one landscape just to change things up a little bit. Every so often I'm turning the stamp just so that the leaves get a little variation. Once I've got that, I wanted to put on my big sentiment, thinking of you, right over the top, and I'm using early espresso for a darker shade of brown. I just re-inked my early espresso, so I'm kind of moving it around a little bit, just making sure I don't have any little pockets of ink. Very nice. I love the swirly font of this lettering. Okay, now this image, I've used my new stamping blends, so I have to stamp in Memento ink to avoid the line art bleeding into the colors. So I've got my Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp it onto Very Vanilla. It's recommended that you use Very Vanilla or Whisper White for your blending with the Stampin' Blends. The blends are going to be available for customer release on November 1st, so just a few short days from now, a week and a half actually, and you'll be able to get your hands on these really fun new markers. So I'm going to use the light Old Olive first, and there's some pretty small details in here, so I'm going to use the tip, the brush tip, as it's got that fine point, and I can get right up into these little tiny leaves. Well, that's really fun. I'm using my color lifter to fix this little error that I made, and I was going to start over and just rewind the video, but then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try the color lifter and see if I can fix that center, and I did fix that center. So that's a really fun thing. It's not really erasing. What it's doing is kind of dragging the ink along, and you can kind of drag it back into the line art. Interesting. Okay, first time I used the color lifter. So that was a fun little trial. Okay, I went over the whole base with my Old Olive light, and I want to add some highlights in the dark. And then I'm going to go over it again with the light to kind of blend the colors together. Just adding a little speckle here because that's how the line art looked. And then I'll go over the center veining with the dark also. Next I'm going to use Daffodil Delight and color in the flowers. Now most of these are not going to end up showing on the final card, but I like to do the base anyway, just because sometimes it'll poke through a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of dark. And then I'm going over to blend those two together. Okay, that colored image is really pretty just as it is, but we're going to go ahead and cut it out with the lots of labels dies. I think this is the right one. I'm just going to, yep, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4th one. And then I cut out the 5th one in Early Espresso for a matte, and that's going to go right there. So I'm going to bring this over to my Big Shot and cut it out, and I'll be right back. And we'll put this together with some layers. Let's see. I think it's on an angle, so I'm going to go right like that. And I'll be right back. Okay, so here is the main image, and that can go straight down here onto the Early Espresso matte. Okay, now what I did earlier was I stamped some more of these flowers and I colored them in, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them out and layer them on top of this flower. I'm going to speed it up during cutting so you don't have to watch the tedious cutting. As you can see, I just selectively cut out a few of the items. I didn't cut out all of the leaves, and I didn't cut out all of the petals. I left some to be recessed back and some to pop out a little more. I'm going to actually cut this one a little bit halfway down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just use my fingernail, or you could use a bone folder, and I'm just going to kind of curl these petals a little bit up and then a little bit down so they have a little bit more dimension, and I want them to kind of come forward a little bit on the page. And then I'm so happy that Stampin' Up! Now sells these little mini dimensionals. They're really tiny and they're so much fun, and you can add those behind some of the areas that you want to stand out a little more. So I want this part to pop up a little bit, but I want this part to remain kind of down flat, so I'm going to use a glue dot there because that doesn't stand up as much. And I'll show you how it looks when I've got it down. So that part's going to be pretty close to the card, but then the dimensional will keep the petals from being able to lay down. I meant to take the little backing off before I put it down. There we go. So that is going to push these forward a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I have a glue dot at the base and a mini dimensional as close as I can get it to the top. Even though they're mini, they're still not quite as small as these little petals. You can even cut them in half if you needed to. So that's really fun. They're kind of standing up off of the card base. Now these are just too big, even with the mini dimensional. So what I did with those is I put a glue dot at the top, at the base of the stem, and then I kind of just balled up 2 glue dots to make them a little fatter. I put 2 of them together and brought it as like a ball of goo towards the top of the petal, or I guess it's a leaf. And that helps it from sticking too far down. And then also, because I ran my finger behind it, they curl a little bit. And then one more. Right there. That's really fun. And it gives just such a cute little look. When I was a kid, my mom actually had kind of a shadow box. It was a whole house, and the different rooms had different things that popped up. I remember the bathroom specifically because there was a cute little girl with curly hair taking a bath in there when there were little bubbles, and she had to cut out, I can't imagine how much she had to cut out, little round bubbles, and some were 3 high and 4 high and some were flat, and they just kind of were just so pretty. It was such a cute little fun thing. I wonder whatever happened to that. I haven't seen something like that in a really long time. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and put these two things together. This little strip of Designer Series paper is from the Painted Harvest collection, and it's really pretty autumn colors. And I just think this little zigzaggy chevron tone, it's like early espresso on vanilla, is really cute, and it adds a nice little element of something, some kind of, you know, I don't know, some bold geometry, I guess. So then I also wanted to put some kind of a bow or some kind of threading across the top, and I saw this, it's like a jute maybe, or heavy twine, and they do sell now, Stampin' Up! In the holiday catalog, a heavy rope, and I was going to use that, and then I saw that I had just barely any of this left, so I thought I might as well use this. This is from a paper pumpkin. Paper pumpkin from Stampin' Up! Always has little things in them that might have leftovers, leftover sequins, leftover baker's twine, leftover jute, and you can use those on some of your other projects. It's always fun. Just love paper pumpkin. They always have, it's the first time I saw the little mini dimensionals, actually, was a couple years, maybe a year and a half ago, paper pumpkin, and I was hoping, oh, I hope they make those, and they did, so it's always a fun little kit to get and see what's coming. Okay, so I just tied a little bow, and that is really all to the background here of the card. And I'm going to attach this with some regular size dimensionals. And I am all set. So there we go, 2 different ways. We've got a landscape and a portrait style. Which one do you like better? I don't know. Leave me a comment. Let me know which one you like better, and we'll see which one wins. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like the idea of cutting things out and popping them up a little bit just for some added dimension to your cards. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and come back again. Thank you. Bye-bye.